Welcome everyone. This is Leanne Bridges and welcome to the Inspire Show. The Inspire Show is part of the Awakening Village free membership program. The membership program includes this show, which is where we highlight change leaders from locally and from around the world who are doing great work and who are really moving from their career and job and moved into a calling where they're really expressing their true gifts. And so we want to hear from them and what their story is, how they got there, what some of the challenges were. So to inspire us to do the same and to help us along the way, because a lot of times it's a lonely journey. The Awakening Village also includes weekly networking and group coaching. So on alternative weeks when we don't have the Inspire Show, like next week, we will have the group coaching, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We also have a bunch of resources on the Awakening Village, and we have a Facebook group where it allows us also to further network and to promote your events and products on Fair Friday. That's only on Friday. We allow you to do that, but then you have to be a member. So this is just really, all of us are wanting in some way or shape or other to follow our dreams, to do what we really love, to make an impact in the world, and to have the freedom to work in the way we want, when we want, where we want. And this community is to help us in whatever that it looks like for you. So just before we get started with our guest today, Rhonda Massad, I just wanted to just give you a little of what's coming up. As I mentioned, next week we'll be doing more of the networking and coaching, which I call the Awakening Cafe at noon on Wednesday for the next couple of weeks anyways. And for the next couple of months, we'll be talking about the keys of self-mastery. So I call them the 7 C's. And those are things that help us to really master our emotions, our way in the world, and things like getting more clarity, conscious communication, compassion for ourselves and others, creativity, consistency, and commitment. All those things where when the better we get at those skills, the better we are at actually fulfilling our dreams. So those are going to be some of the topics as we go forward. Also just wanted to let you know that my Thrive Zone program, which is all about helping you figure out what it is that you want to create and live in the world. What is your purpose? I have a program that's starting in middle of April, April 19th, and that goes all the way from part 1, which is discovering what it is you want to do, to actually helping you to build a business plan around it or a community plan and executing and launching. So it's the last one we're going to be doing before the fall. So really it's a 4-month program, and it'll get you ready for if you want to launch something in the fall. So now, before further ado, I want to get over to our guest today, and I'm really excited to introduce our local guest. So Rhonda Massad is a local blogger and community leader. And I'm just going to take 1 second to give you a proper introduction to her. She retired from her career in retail in 2015 after 16 years. And she started writing. And it'll be interesting to hear her story because it wasn't kind of the typical path that maybe she might have thought of for herself. But it was really a very courageous path in itself. She had to go against a lot of her fears and continues to, just like all of us, to push through that little voice that says, you know, you're not enough, you can't do it. But to now where she's at a point where she's really a community leader in the Montreal area from a media perspective. Just to give you a little bit of information about her, she's been recognized by the Quebec Community Newspaper Association and seen more than 6 million visitors to her website and blog. She's also on Global TV once a month with her segment on the Best of the West, and she's on Jewel Radio 106.7 every week with her segment The More You Know, which I was lucky to be a part of that a couple of weeks ago, and every Friday on Hits 94.7. So she's a blogger, she's a writer, she's on TV, she's on radio, she's now on our show, which I'm really excited about. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thanks very much for joining us. And so the way we're going to work is I'm just going to ask you a few questions to kind of get us started, to learn a little bit about your journey. And also that because this is live, this is for Awakening Village members to come on live and ask questions. It's really a very interactive type of show. So I'm not going to be doing all the asking of the questions, but so let's just start with a little bit about the work that you do. I just kind of highlighted from your bio what it is you do, but maybe you can describe what you do right now.
Today I'm actively writing stories about local news. So my reach goes from Lachine right through to Rigaud. I was at Auberge des Galants last weekend and I reported on my experience there. So I report on news. It's just basically hyper, really local news. If you're not going to check with me if you need to see what Donald Trump's up to. Not your place. Not what I'm covering. I'm covering us. I want to know what we're doing. I want to know what the children down the street is doing, the remarkable mom that's done something great. Those are the people that I want to see, and the unsung heroes are basically what I'm after.
What you're passionate about. So tell us a little bit about how you got there. You said you had been working for years in retail.
I loved retail. Loved retail. And did that for 16 years. My father was a retailer before he was a real estate agent. Another person actually that switched up his life midway. I was done with the retail. It took me 2 years to let it go. I was done, and I knew the whisper was there, but I wasn't listening. I was ashamed to let go of such a beautiful experience. It was an excellent experience. My clients, I love them. I love doing what I'm doing. I'm good at it. I was good at I was good at servicing them.
What were you doing with them? Can I ask?
I was a retailer, so I sold scarves and accessories and costume jewelry and things like that, purses and any beautiful fashion items that I could find. I would go to New York to find them. I would go to Toronto to the shows, and I just loved it. So it was fantastic. And my clients, I knew who I was buying a scarf for. Like, I was really connected. After 16 years, your clients are loyal, you know? It was fantastic. So letting go of that was a little difficult because it was a great experience, but I was done. Somehow I was done with something that was so great. I don't know how it was hard to wrestle that down. I was elected at the time. I was an official in the city that I live in. So I was very conscious of giving back to the community and was exposed during that time to the community in a way that I had never been. I was there for the residents and trying to help them. And I could see that there was a disconnect between the residents and the city and the residents and what was happening around them, and not by any fault of the city or the residents or anything, really. It's just that life has changed. We're so busy. There's no more Sundays to devote to visiting your neighbors. It's just impossible. We don't do that. So I started a little blog, and I went to a friend of mine who was a reporter and who used to report on, I met him as an elected official. He used to interview me or whatever. And I showed him the blog and I said, do you think I can do this? And he said, if you're going to write, I want you to write for us. And he was part of a local newspaper. So I wrote for them for a few years. I've written for the Gazette. I've done on-site reporting for CBC. I've done on-site reporting for Global during the floods. So that experience grew and grew and grew. It just grew. I don't even know how it grew, but Dana took over my website at one point because people were asking me. I had the blog while I had the retail.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. You were doing
Yes, it was simultaneous. Yes, and people came to me at Christmas time, the busiest time for a retailer, and can I put ads on your blog? And I'm like, no, I don't even know what you're saying. It's a technological nightmare. It's just a hobby. Leave me be. And then serendipitous, I met Dana, and I said, how much would it cost if I could take an ad? So she took care of that. I haven't left her side since, to be honest with you. Where are you, Dana? Because I need you. So yeah, she takes care of my, it's a big site. So yes. I do some web development of my own, and I do for some clients, but the size of my blog is just out of control, and she has to be in charge of that. So that team takes care of that.
So if I could ask you, when you think back of when you were starting to work in the community as a counselor, is that what you were?
Yes, I was a
city councilor, and you saw the opportunity. Tell us a little bit about that. You felt there was a gap between, you said, the people and I guess the leaders or the councilors and the mayor.
Yes, because people would be angry.
Yeah. How did you see the media connection there, like the media and the blog?
I didn't connect. I wasn't busy making those connections at that point. I knew that I had 500 people already that were following a memo that I started to do. Before, keeping in mind, this is about 8 years ago, so we weren't as advanced as we are. We were advanced. So I was sending regular memos to people in my region, and people from other regions were saying, do you mind if I jump on? Can I have that too? Do you mind if I add to that? So I noticed there was a need and a response. So 500 people deep, when I opened the blog, I sent it to them.
Mm.
So I had 500 readers right away. And my goal is that my problem was that you've got the elected officials who, especially at a city level, are your neighbors. They're not, it's like being a parent. You don't get this course on how to do this. You do it of the good of your heart. You land there, you know nothing. Pretty much, unless you have some super experience that most of the people that I were with did not. You're bringing to the table, you're an engineer, you're a retailer, you're a mom, you're a whatever. So you don't necessarily have the experience for municipal level politics, or any politician for that matter. They're not necessarily, there's no book, there's no guide, there's no course, which it's a little silly really. So you land there, you've managed to get yourself elected for whatever reason, and for however you land there, because the election process itself can be vicious and can be I've had vicious elections, and I've had very docile, plain, ordinary elections. So there's that process, and whether you're, not necessarily the right people end up in the positions, I don't think, because of that.
Yeah.
So once you get yourself elected, you're sitting there and you make a decision, but there's 20,000 people in my case that couldn't really necessarily connect with me and the reasons why I did what I did or voted for what I voted for. Well, why did you do that? So you've got a bunch of neighbors sitting at the table hating on me because I've made this decision, and they have no idea why I made it because they're busy with their kids or their life or their job, and they didn't come and ask me.
Right.
So the rumor mill starts, and it's a whole brush fire of rumor.
Right.
So I wanted, if you want to hate me, that's cool, but you got to hate me because I did this for this reason, not because your neighbor told you. Right. So that was my goal behind starting the blog. Like, you need to know where my heart's at and what I'm doing.
So a real need for communication and a flow of communication. And it sounds like as it developed too, it was a two-way communication. You wanted to hear from the people. And
absolutely. I wanted to hear from them. I wanted them to know what I was thinking. And oftentimes I would sit in council meetings and realize that the wisdom in the crowd was out of sight. People would come to the microphone after 7 of us have discussed an item that was so important to us, and we wrestled it down, and you wrestle it all down in caucus, and you've talked about it to death, and a guy comes to the microphone who's 75 years old and has lived a life in our city and goes, well, did you think of it this way? And the 7 of us are like stunned, going, no, we didn't even consider that. And that's very much a reality, because you can't think of everything, and you're looking at it from your own personal experience. So this person would arrive at the mic who is, let's say, an emergency preparedness representative in his life, in his career.
Yeah.
So he would come with information. So it would be like, wow, that's like, I'm changing my mind on the spot. I'm changing my mind because this person has valid points and I can't make the decision they had originally thought I was making.
That's amazing. And that's some of the beauty of technology now with the blogs and that type of thing, where it's a much more of a dialogue. You can get input from people. So tell us a little bit about how you went from there, and you said that there was a person who came to you and said, would you do a blog? And you kind of went,
I did the blog. No, because the person came to me to see if I did the blog because I thought it was necessary. I did it very basic. I was doing a self-made template and whatever. And somebody came to me and asked me if they could put ads on it. That's when I started to realize that more people were reading. What's weird about what I do is that I have no idea who's listening to me.
Yeah.
I'm alone, basically, as we've discussed. I'm alone at my laptop for the most part. And when I'm posting stuff, I don't know who's listening or watching. And people would say, I want to put ads because I see that, so I started to realize I was gaining momentum. It was only when the site was developed by Motherhood Incorporated that I realized that she put a counter on the site, and that was when we started. So I'm at 6 million visits to the blog, but that doesn't include the year before I was actually properly developed.
Wow, that's amazing. And so I remember you telling me once about a story how maybe it was a newspaper that asked you to come on or something like that, and then you're saying, okay, well, I really have to up my game on my writing. That's not your traditional. That was the reporter that I went to. His name was Robert, and I went to him and showed him my blog, and he says, well, I want you to write for us. And I'm like, you know what? I'm the kid in this classroom with the learning disorder. Like I couldn't read or count. Like it was such a terrible experience. School was a terrible experience until I developed late high school and CJET. The world became something that I understood academically speaking. So that's very encouraging for parents to hear that, because I've seen that with my own children as well. As they get into high school, things that might be like this, they start to open up. So that's
it was like a fog. I can honestly say it was like a fog. My parents tried, God bless them. They really tried to, tutors and people and, times tables with everybody was trying everything, and it just wasn't working. It just wasn't I knew I wasn't processing, and I would find my way to get through school without really, like, I would full filet and I would get where I was going, but
Yeah.
it wasn't going in until I met, it was at CGIP that I really, really clicked into school
And
and
so
writing.
when this person asked you to write, you didn't say no.
This person offered to help me write. So then I did. So then I went through this grueling, God bless him, grueling 3 months of learning how to write a news article. It's not like writing a story. There is a basic structure, and he taught me that structure. Mm-hmm. And, beat me into submission, for God's sakes. You go back, write it again. Go back, write it again. It's like, okay, I'll go back and write it again. It was brutal. Yeah. And technology. So I was like, when you take a class that's really tough and you get out of there, your mind is like a mush ball. I used to leave going, oh my God, I need a nap.
Sometimes my clients look that way.
Like he was sending me Word docs and I had to correct a correction in the Word doc. I had to send it. I could never send it back.
Okay.
I could never send it. I had to start over every time. Still to this day, I'm still starting over.
But that's great, because it encourages people to recognize that sometimes you're going forward in something you really don't feel you have a sense of, I have this degree in this. I see this with clients all the time. They're feeling they need a certification, a degree or something before they move forward. As opposed to, you said, well, I need some training. I need to get the training done, but it's not for you to actually have that little piece of paper. It was just because you needed the skills.
I needed that skill, and I needed to be better at it. And I knew I had a bit of a problem with I'm grateful for the stuff that's available online that can correct. Yeah. That can correct me, that might correct my grammar, alert my grammar, because it doesn't sink in. Like I have the same spelling issues every single time with the same words.
Same with me. I know, exactly. It's never going to go in. So
it's not going in, and I'm accepting it, and we're moving on. But so it's,
so from there, tell me a little bit about what happened once you started writing for more for a living.
Suburban.
Yeah,
for the Suburban. Yeah.
And then how's it expanded from your career, your calling from there?
It just kept growing. It just kept getting exponential, and I was running the blog anyway. They didn't have much of a social media presence. So I had my own blog. So did some of the other reporters. And it just kept going and going, and it got bigger. Can you come here? Can you go to this? Can you, and I'm a little different because I'm a blogger more than a reporter, if you will, because there's a lot of liberty and license that goes with being a blogger, as opposed to a traditional reporter. So I am out. I am part of the story, whereas reporters are generally not supposed to be the story. Mm-hmm. So oftentimes I'm talking and I'm part of it, and I've made friends with everybody, and I'm like, like yesterday's the people, the Cavalieros, I just couldn't get over how engulfing they were. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So you came along too at a very interesting time. I mean, blogging was really starting to become something that was well known, and kind of regular media was really changing. So Montreal was just starting to change, and you're part of the English Montreal scene as well, which is a little bit of a niche as well. So there was some unique opportunity that you took advantage of. The fact that I landed on a niche that didn't exist and that doesn't really, still hasn't, I'm ahead of the game because I started it then, but I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't realize the technology was going to bring it that way, and we were going to lose print media to the levels that we have. Yeah.
And,
so a lot of times people are starting to feel, the kind of that soul calling, a lot of times people are in jobs they absolutely hate and they're stressed out and everything. You weren't in that situation, and some are like you, where they love what they're doing, but there's something calling. And so how did you answer that calling, instead of what many people do is say, oh, it can't be done. It's been done before. It's not for me. I don't have the skills or whatever. What was it in you that kind of kept you moving forward?
I'm a very driven person in the first place. So that's like very, very seldom do I listen to the fears that I hear. Well, not very seldom. There are mornings when I get up and go, I'm scared to death of this, but I'm going to not listen to this voice anymore and just do it. And I've fallen flat on my ass a few times. There's no question. It's just, I wanted to be a landlord. I have invested in real estate, not where I believe I wanted to invest. And I was about 30 years old, and and my uncle, who was very invested in real estate, I always felt that he had a certain comfort level and a certain lifestyle that I envied. And I wanted that. So I woke up one morning and I said, okay, enough with the voice in your head. Called my father, who happens to be a real estate agent, and said, Dad, we're doing this today. So when I decide I don't allow the mess that goes on in my head to get in the way, I jump, I go, and I was scared to death. Get me this one. It was a mortgage for $30,000, my first property.
Wow. Amazing.
I was petrified. I remember being as petrified. I may as well be buying a property at $1 million.
Yeah.
Same feeling. I was still petrified. So, but the petrified, I did it, and I panicked, and I freaked, and I did all that, and okay.
I love it, because that's exactly the misconception that people have. They think when I'm completely ready or when I don't have fear anymore, that's when I'm going to act.
Well, that day's not coming.
Which is really
not
doesn't happen. You have to push through that fear.
It's exactly so. I do not stand for the nonsense. I am the mother of me. And enough with I mother myself. Get up, get going, do your things, get to the gym, tackle those fears. We're not dealing with this today. And you're not going to be, there was a time in my life that I suffered a little bit of depression. And I'm glad I have, because now I can appreciate people who have depression. It's not, if you've never experienced depression, you don't really understand depression.
Right.
You can empathize, but to feel it, to feel that, that freezing, I'm not moving feeling. I don't know if anybody else, I see you nodding.
I'm sure lots of people
it's that frozen feeling of like, I'm done. I'm not moving from this point, or this chair. I'm not moving out of this chair. I remember sitting in a parking lot at the shopping mall, and I couldn't get out of the parking lot. I could not leave that parking lot. I was sitting in the parking lot. My kids called their godmother and said, Mom's stuck in the parking lot. I don't even know how they knew, but I'm a bit teary with that. But so I mothered myself out of that one. I'm an artist, and you can see my paintings of my daughters here. And this is a canvas I'm working on for my grandson. But I forced myself. I said, you're not staying. I remember the voice saying, okay, get your ass to art class, because we're not going to do this for months on end here. And I gave myself a limited amount of time to feel that way. I wanted to end it. I knew I wanted it to end. And I said, okay, it was winter. So I said, as soon as that sun comes out, this is done. You've got to be done. I gave myself a date. And maybe not, I'm sure not everybody has the same experience, and I'm not diminishing anybody's experience. But for me, I grabbed myself by the ear essentially and went to art class, where I knew that didn't even want to go, but I went because I knew the girls were there. I was going to be surrounded by women, and women supporting women is something that to me is huge. Your network of support is how I think we get through it. We love our husbands and everything, but they're not the girls. They don't get you through the girls. They don't understand the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And so your kind of key takeaway from that was really, as you said, mothering yourself, which meant don't take any crap from yourself. Pick yourself up with your bootstraps, and then surround yourself by people that are going to help you. And
because that's what my mother is like. Yeah. My mother is like that, though. There's no crying and stuff. You pick yourself up, which is not necessarily an easy way to be mothered, but it is productive as heck.
Yeah. Awesome.
But so I'm a little harsh on myself, no question. There's no question.
So I'm going to open it up soon for people to ask any questions, and if they want to type any right now, I have lots of other questions as well. So don't feel pressured if you just want to listen, but I just want to open that up for people as well. And so please, someone asked for a link for your blog, so we're going to get all the information as well of how to contact you as well at the end.
I have two blogs. I have West Island blog and Montreal Grandma. Montreal Grandma is my experience as a grandmother.
Okay.
So there's two.
So tell us how that started to come about.
Montreal Grandma? Mm-hmm. Montreal Grandma started because the blog is a news blog, and it is actually, like you said, an official news agent now. It's been recognized by the Quebec Community Newspaper Association, and it's not a place for Rhonda's opinion. I don't feel it's up to me. If I'm telling you the news, it's not whether I like the news or not is really irrelevant. It's you need to know A, B, C happened. You don't need to know how Rhonda feels about it. Who cares? Mm-hmm. But Montreal Grandma is a personal blog of my journey as a grandmother and things that I just did an article this morning on balayage and ombre with the hair. Like, we've got a balayage, ombre. Who the heck knows what's going on? I've got daughters with balayage, and I don't know. I'm so out of the loop. I did a whole thing on what the heck is that?
I've had boys, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you don't know. It's because you have boys. I have 2 girls, and we're ombre and balayage, and I'm way out of date. I don't know, whatever.
That's awesome.
My kids have beautiful, thick, stunning hair, and I have like no hair. I have like, this is the hair, guys. Like, let's not get excited,
That's awesome. And so, and you're also an artist. So how do you manage all those different things? You have
the art has takes a back seat right now. I do see that as phase 4, if you count mothering and, business and life. But I see that as something. I don't feel great about selling it. I don't feel great about working for, if somebody bought something that I had done, that's fine. But it is to custom things. I did a custom painting once. It was painful because it's not creative to me. My brushes are big. My colors are huge. You can look at, I have a personal website, rhondamassad.com, and my art is there, and you can see my personality coming through in the art. The brushes are like, like rollers, like they're huge. It's like this slap of paint. Everything's big.
That's awesome.
So I can't.
Self-expression, but you may not make to order, but you create what you want, and possibly down the road be able to sell it.
Yes, it's something that one day maybe. I don't know if I want to put that pressure on that creation of selling, adding selling to that creation.
Yeah. As a local media person working across different types of media, what really inspires you? What is it that, in terms of your work, what is it that you love about it? What inspires?
The community itself. It's the community itself. It, hands down, no question, black and white answer. It's the community itself. I can't believe the generosity, the people that I've gotten to know. I can't believe that I get to share with you the people that I'm meeting. That's It's I feel it from inside. And there are days when I panic because there's absolutely there's writer's block. There's such a thing as writer's block. Well, it really exists. Yeah. I write for a living now. And to be honest with you, some days I just can't write. There's nothing coming out. It's very creative. And when it comes out, it's usually 4 a.m. and I'm half in, half out and sleeping, but not sleeping. And the title starts to come. And then the first paragraph starts to come. And damn it, I got to get up. Then I got to write, 4 o'clock in the morning. Thanks. I had all afternoon yesterday, which I fooled around with because I couldn't feel it. And then it comes out at 4 a.m.
And I guess also you're pulled to different community events and that type of thing as well, right?
It's become a point where I have to select what I can and how I do that because I don't want to choose anything. They're all good causes and they're all amazing and all the people are great. So what I do now is I pick who's first, who asked first. That's it. So I could have, it depends. It doesn't matter what it is. I could have 5 people at an event if that's the one that asked first. That's the only way I can do it.
Yeah.
And feel good about myself because I can't really figure out how to do it all.
Yeah. And, when you think about, your journey, you talked a little bit about the kind of the fear and overcoming that. What other potential hurdles did you have to overcome? And you also talked about writing and learning to write. Is there anything
learning to write?
Yeah.
Well, there's a financial hurdle. I mean, I went from retail where I was making money to a creative job where, whatever, not the same way. It's not reliable, let's say, for example. But I've dabbled in different things where I give writing classes, which I really enjoy, which is one of the things I'd like to continue. It was a one-on-one in a 3-to-1. Like I was a person with 3 people, and I taught people how to write so people will listen, like how to write your About Me page on your website. So your About Me page will look and feel like you want it to feel, like you're trying to get it out. So I help people get that done. I actually write also on the side. I ghostwrite. So if you need work done in a writing capacity, I offer that, which is all available on my personal website. So that's how I balance the financial to the actual charitable job.
From a fear perspective, because that's also what so many people experience, the fear and what stops them from moving forward and what, their heart might be calling them towards is that fear of the finance. So you've come up with solutions by diversifying your income and stuff like that. But what about the thought process? How did you handle your thoughts that said, oh, you can't leave this because it's a secure income for something like that?
It took 2 years. It took 24 months of like sitting in the store going, oh God, am I here again? Like, and writing in the store. I was writing in the store. It was ending. And I just had to, I guess it was like an old boyfriend. You got to let him go kind of thing. I had to like break up.
But it was hard. It took 2 years.
And I loved him, but he just wasn't for me anymore kind of thing,
I
So,
love that analogy because that's exactly what it's like.
Break up, and it's painful. It's grieving. There's grieving going on here. Like this is it. And you're also bucking the system. Like I said, my mother is the matriarch of the family and she is hardcore British, and you work, and if you're not bleeding, you're really not working. So she's really a hard line, you're not sweating, bleeding or crying. You're really not working. So if you're happy while you're working, something's wrong with that. Like, so that's like where I'm coming from. So she was very influential there. So like leaving something that is good to me, leaving something that I should be grateful for was tough.
Yeah, well, and that's another great example because so many people are affected by the people around them.
For sure.
Your mother, my mother was the same way. She must have asked me almost every other day. When I became an entrepreneur for the first time, wouldn't it be easier to work for a company? You really want to do this? and I keep answering her, yes, I do this, yes. And finally, I was like 100th question. I was like, do you want me to answer a different way, the same question? But we have
to evolve, Josette. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you have to evolve. It's hard to evolve though. Change is the biggest thing we have. It's a problem. Why do we have such a problem with change? I don't know. Security. We want to know that the mortgage is paid or whatever, but maybe a suggestion, and I'm as hard on myself financially. It does become fun. Yes. It does actually. But I'm hard on myself financially. I'm very hard. That mothering person doesn't quit. So financially, I saved up enough to cover my paychecks. Like I didn't, I made sure we had this, so nobody was going to know that I didn't have an income.
And that's it. It really comes down to your own personal style and what you're comfortable with and how much risk you're willing to take, right? Some people jump ship and are comfortable with taking that. Other people really need to have that comfort and the security, and there's everything in between, and it's understanding what's important to you so you can feel that your creativity. I know it was Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, talks about the creative process and saying that for her first two bestsellers, she still had to have a sideline business of writing.
For sure.
And so that, because she didn't want the creativity to be strangled by her need to make money from it.
I can tell you that my husband and I have both started businesses. And in any business that we've started, I think the first thing you have to realize is as you age, one, your experience is not gone. If you lose your job or you start something new, your experience is not gone. You're not starting at the 18-year-old that you were when you started. So that fear is old and should be let go because your tools are with you. They're inside you. They're not gone. So you're starting out, even if you lose your job and you have to find another job, your business fails. You didn't lose the ability to make money. Yes. Because you lost that opportunity. That's not what that is. So going forward, you have that. And the other thing that I can say as a business owner of more than one business, because my husband and I have had different things going on, we do every contract that comes out. You get a contract that makes absolutely no sense, and no, it doesn't have to do with your end goal, and it's not looking like what you really wanted to do, writing, but you're, I don't know, for argument's sake, and my husband's in packaging. So would we package something that made no sense? We would package, something that we did the contracts that made no sense in order to pay the bills while we were doing what we wanted to do. We accepted everything. You're not fussy at that point. You make money however you make money, and you tailor now I can tailor what I want to do. Mm-hmm. You can't be as tailored at the beginning.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a man that I interviewed a long time ago for the Awakening Cafe when we used to do it live. And he was a really successful artist. And he said the same thing. He said, I always would take whatever opportunity came my way. And even if it didn't seem like other artists would say, that's not it. So he gave the example of once someone asked him to paint their driveway, like tar the driveway. And he said, I'm an artist, but okay. And then he did it. And then it led him to something else because of that connection. And that's the thing. So it can make you money when you need it, but it also can lead you to things you had no idea.
Networking. It's like the people that open doors. The people that you know are there to give advice. If they're only there to give advice or even the negative experiences we have, those people are there for a reason. The networking, even in the negative sense, shows you a piece of yourself that you have to maybe improve upon, or, you know, you won't go in that direction because that was a negative direction. The networking to me is huge.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because a lot of people, when they hear networking, sometimes they even freeze up. They're not sure exactly what that means. They think about the traditional where you have to stand up and give your 30-second elevator speech.
Which is painful.
You're a living working unit, right? Everything you do, everywhere you go, you're networking. So maybe can you talk just a little bit about what networking means to you and how you started and where you are now? Because you're networking every day, all day long, right?
All day, every day. It's how you find stories. Mm-hmm. I was at a yoga class, and these two women were chatting beside me, and I was welcome to. You could tell I was welcome to the conversation on my mat, which was over one, and the two moms were talking with the yoga instructor about people that have given birth in cars. Well, the one of the moms, her daughter had given birth in a car the week before. Well, boom, that's my story.
Yeah.
So I can find. I'm also networking to find my stories. But I'm also networking so that that I expose my business. Mm-hmm. So that's part of it as well. And now it's reversed itself. People are inviting me to their networking. So
yeah. And so, but in the beginning, it was really just connecting with people. It's not always having to like promote yourself or anything. It's really a deeper connection with people.
Getting to know people. And you know what? The networking events, even the We Too networking events or whatever, that fear is still there. There's still that whisper when it comes to my 30 seconds to speak. Some days it's louder than others. Sometimes I just don't care. Mm-hmm. And there's other days where it's like, oh, I just can't do this. I want to hide in a ball on the floor. Just like, don't talk to me. And people don't expect that from me because my job is open. It's very open. So, you know, people like reach to speak. And sometimes I'm just introverted, and that maybe comes off. You know, it may look standoffish, but it's not really standoffish. It's more like I'm panicking.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. I'm not ready.
Yeah. And so many people feel that same way, right?
Yeah.
And to me, that's why this environment is really about networking too. And I just want to open it up to everyone to see if anyone has any questions without putting people on pressure, because, you know, before we got on, we kind of introduced each other, and just those little connections is networking. And it's really something important that we do. And because there's, like you said, there's stories there, there's potential clients there for you. There's all sorts of different things. And same for everyone here. There are potential clients out there, people that might help you in your business, support you, different ideas that you've never had before.
You may be able to be the connection for
exactly.
two people. You know, it doesn't always have to be about your gaining something from it.
Exactly.
Like the connection of making two people together that I've now met. I'd love to know what these ladies do that I'm with here today. If you could write that to me.
Yeah.
Lizette's turning her face. She's doing the fear on the inside thing. Like, don't approach me. This is me being standoffish.
Who's going to be courageous and come on? I know someone that would. I know someone who's on here who will. And so Tammy is asking, how do you get over those moments when you're approached and you have some anxiety, she was asking.
I don't know that I do it as well as I'd like to think I do. I'd like to hope that I could maybe do that a bit better, because when you know how it is, we're hormonal women. I don't know if men are, I really don't know. No. But there are days when I want to divorce myself. So, you know, I get it. So it's when those days, and I'm just like really just not great, but still have commitments out there, I have to try hard to overcome it. And sometimes I don't know that I necessarily do well anyway. Mm-hmm. You know, like I get through it. I know what I have to do, but I think maybe sometimes I look grumpy, and I apologize to everybody who sees that. I don't know if it's not a perfect science.
Yeah.
Moon phases. Hello. Hello.
Exactly.
And Josette and I are like friends for like, we're kind of blood brothers and stuff. I don't know. You're just talking my language there. It's true. It's like moon. I'm a moon. I really believe in like that kind of stuff. I'm not closed-minded to be beyond spiritual or whatever. Soulmates. Yes, we are soulmates.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that there's connections for a reason. I really believe things happen for a reason. I believe that if you fall flat on your ass in something, it's because you weren't supposed to be there, and you're going to gear up. And I've fallen a few times, and not to bore that you have tears, but painfully fallen. And only to be, everyone's telling you, oh, everything happens for a reason. You want to like take a knife and stab it.
Yes.
No, it doesn't happen for a reason. I'm suffering. What are you talking about? And it's like, no, but it's true. A door will fly open and you'll be like, I never thought of that. And I believe there's a higher power. I really do.
Yeah.
I believe there's somebody out there pushing us along, nudging us. And if you're letting yourself be nudged realistically, I mean, we have to get up in the morning and, take a shower. So there's not going to be a nudge for that. So don't wait. But, like you're going to, I think there's a certain path we're supposed to be on. And I do believe that there's somebody, there's an ulterior, what do you call it?
Power, source.
Higher being, higher power.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's also really important to note that, when we do fall, and we all do, so many people give up at that point. I see that all the time.
It's so easy though to give up. It's so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Higher aspects, yes. Guides, yes. I believe that. And if we had all day, I would tell you about an experience I have, which I believe I was visited by my best friend who had died in a car accident coming to see me. And I believe she saw me. And I just do.
Can you give us the 2-minute version of that story? I'm sure people would love to hear it.
It's brutal. I was pregnant, and I believe that's why I was receptive. I was pregnant with my second child, and my friend Maria died in a car accident, and she was on the way to meet us. And I went to bed that night, sum it up really, really, really tight. She came to me in the night, and we ventured out, the two of us, to her home, where she was living with her parents. We were young. I think I was 22. And there was 100 people in her house, which I couldn't have known. I was at home with my own children, and I couldn't leave my house. So I couldn't be at her mom's house. And we went there somehow, and we were watching everybody. We were high up watching. And I knew who was there. I knew, and she told me, she says, don't worry, when you die, I'll be here for you. We're received by somebody that we love and we know in our network, and don't think you're not going to arrive here and be alone. You're not alone. And she says, and I said, well, you look so gorgeous. And she says, yes, but I made myself look like this so you'd understand what you were looking at. And later on, fast forward 40 days, I'm sitting at the memorial, and I had another visit from her where I had to write out Valentine's card. This was a January death and a February memorial. And I'm writing out Valentine's cards in my sleep to the people that she wants me to talk to the next day. And I sit with her aunt, who walks over and sits with me, and she says, because I saw Maria's accident and I saw who received her. And it was a man. I'd never seen him before. He was my best friend. I never saw this guy before. And turned out it was a distant uncle that I hadn't met. I didn't know it, so I saw this man and was anxiety ridden by this man. Wow. And so at the memorial, the wife of this man sits down beside me, who I don't really know her all that well either. And she says, tell me about the person that received her. I said, well, I don't want to upset anybody. I said, but I don't know who it is. I said, he's tall, he's slim, he's got gray hair, and whatever I described. She whips out a picture. Is it him? I said, oh, Jesus.
Come on.
It was him. And I didn't sleep for like a year after that. Like, no way. It was spooky, but it was reassuring. It was affirmative. It was everything. And it was my best friend, She was,
wow. And it indicates your real strong intuitive gifts as well.
Yes. And I believe being pregnant, you were more open.
In conversation today is, it sounds a lot like you've relied on your intuition to follow your intuition against all odds, against fear, and so forth. And it's really served you well. And
I got to say, everyone's like, what are you going to do next? I know one of your questions is, what are you going to do next? I got to tell you, I don't want to know. I'm just going. Mm-hmm. And if it works and that path looks right, okay, that's good today. Today's good. Mm-hmm. We'll do that, And
it's great because you've got that kind of both sides, what I call the two sides of agility, where you've got enough structure in your life. You've got the programs, i.e. the blogs, the website, the different things that you offer. You've got the structure, but you've got the flow and the intuition that allows you to go with the flow and move around. And that's what true agility is the combination of those two things that help people. So like you said, you still have to wake up. You still have to push yourself when you may not know what the direction is, But in all that you've done, in what you've overcome, the challenges you had, the hurdles that we talked about, tell me why it's worth it to you. where you are right now? Why is all like, so that other people who are imagine other people right now listening to this and today or in the future who are like just at that edge, really wanting to follow their heart and do something that really, makes them feel good, wake up in the morning excited and stuff, and hearing, how you overcome them. What's that one thing that you say, yeah, that really is worth it to me because?
It's the feeling I have in my heart that makes it worth it. There's nothing else. Like yesterday was 12 hours in Ottawa, the ride down on the bus. I mean, I was so angst about what the heck I was going to do in the 2 hours on the bus. It was 2 hours of work. I could be doing 2 hours there, 2 hours back, freaking out. And then I get on the bus. First of all, the people were lovely. Like they're so inviting. They were beautiful people. So right away I was in a comfort level that was great. And you know what happened? There was plugs in the bus for me to plug my computer in. I could charge my phone. Everything settled down. Everything was like completely, but 12 hours of feeling that feeling in my heart and I can see by the numbers what I'm feeling in my heart. So are the people that are listening that watched the protest yesterday. I know by the numbers. I have 30,000 people check that. So it's my heart, my heart is what's making me do what I'm doing. I feel good. I feel fulfilled. It's not even that I feel good it's that I feel full inside. Mm-hmm. So that keeps me doing what I'm doing. Because there's a lot of days that I do what I'm doing for free.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really great,
it's not about money.
It's a physical and an emotional feeling, and it's an alignment, right? And I think all of us have felt it a little bit from time to time. And it's almost like, okay, how do I get into that a little bit more? And the more you do it, the more you feel, okay, this is my...
True. Yes, it is love. I guess you're right. It is love. It's not love in the sense that you love I don't love everybody I met yesterday, but on a higher level, I guess I do. Mm-hmm. I guess I do.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It's love for people, for self. It's really, that's exactly what we're friends. Come over.
Yeah, I don't think people seeing this in the future will know who you're talking to, but there's someone
that and I are having a conversation.
It's having a conversation, which is it's a cool way of working here. So before I ask any other questions, I just want to again open it up to anyone else. You can post or you can open up your mic to see if you have any other questions. I see that Zena's on. I don't know if you've met Zena before. She is...
no, I don't see anybody else here.
Okay, because Zena came with us to Costa Rica. She's she's a chef and a cooking instructor.
Oh, I think I know her. Yes. Okay, I need to see the spelling to see who I was talking about. I know this name.
And she's still on mute there.
Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's right. We just got back from
Costa Rica. There you are. And you're eating. I feel so much better now because I've blown my nose twice. And I picked my teeth. I did a whole thing.
I didn't notice.
You didn't notice? Oh, good.
No, I didn't notice that. No. But okay. I was thinking about Costa Rica, though, all week. I was like, wasn't there the tornado and the whole thing?
No. You know what I'll do, Josette, at the end is maybe I'll talk to you a little bit about Costa Rica, just because we are recording right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I know, but that's a big one.
Yeah, I definitely will talk to you about that for sure. That's awesome. Zena, I saw your hand up. Did you have anything you want to ask or mention? I can't, sorry, we'll just...
you got to unmute yourself. There you are.
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Now you're right. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I wanted to say hi because you called out to me. So I thought, okay, I was actually having a late lunch. So I'll put my fork down and I think you guys are doing a fantastic interview. Rhonda, I've seen you around online and I've been following you a little bit of your work, and it's nice to hear someone's story. And I think everybody has something that they can relate, and really to have the courage and push forward and not to worry so much about what other people think and follow your heart. I think you nailed that really, really good. Mm-hmm. So nice to meet you. Hi.
Awesome. So
is the biggest thing, and what people think, that we all have that fear of what people think of us for sure. But you got to push past that. But it's hard. There are times when you're like, I don't like when somebody doesn't like what I'm doing. I don't like the feeling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But not everybody's going to like what you do. Not everybody's going to like you. Like somebody said, how come you're in every picture? I was completely taken aback because the reason I'm in every picture is because I'm holding my selfie stick, and it's much quicker if I just take the picture, then having everybody set up, I disturb people, I disturb a conversation. So this way I pop in, take a picture and pop out, right? So, but somebody took that as an ego thing, as I'm in every picture. So I felt really bad about myself. I was like, I was like, oh, I got to find a way to do this differently, but I don't know how to do it differently. It's the fastest, most convenient way for everybody at an event not to have to stop having fun to deal with my stuff.
Yeah, and it is one of those things is, you know, when you get different feedback about why you're charging, why you're in this picture, why you post.
You're not allowed to charge when you're in your own business. So
I know.
You're not allowed to charge anything.
That's a whole other discussion we'll say, you know, but I want to just ask you two more quick questions. Is really, you said, you're kind of going with the flow. Is there anything that you're working on that you'd like to share with people right now or something that's coming up or anything like that, or anything we haven't discussed yet that you'd like to share?
Well, my radio show, The More You Know, on Jewel is something I'm very, very proud of. We highlight every single week somebody's holistic type of business or not necessarily business, but charitable things or things where people can get some resources. So I think that's fantastic. I'd like to expand on that. It may come to fruition with Jewel. I'm not sure. Another thing I'm working on is Restaurant of the Month. We're going to be doing Restaurant of the Month on West Island blog. Yep. So we're working on that. And my writing, I want to develop the writing side of me and help people write or ghostwrite. So and I do social media maintenance for people on the side as well, because I do have a handle on that. So for like
a
certain amount, I have a handle on that. I got this. I can do. So
you have time for that?
Yeah, I do. I do balance my time very, very, very well. My show on Jewel is there's a question down there. What time is my show on Jewel? It's Tuesday mornings at 8:15, and I do post the link after, so you don't necessarily have to get your act together for that. But the link is there, and you can always go to the Jewel site to see all the ones that we've announced.
Yeah, I was really excited.
So I handle. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say you highlighted the Awakening Village on there for us, and that was an opportunity for us to chat, and then for me to say, hey, why don't you come on and be interviewed on the show? So that's a kind of another part of networking. But so in terms of the writing, if people want to get in contact with you about that or about anything that you're doing. Social media management. If you're, for example, a real estate agent who just is so busy being a real estate agent, I ghost your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I ghost those pages for you. Oh my God.
So that it's done, it's handled. The people don't know it's me.
Yes, that is going, oh my God. Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk.
We lost her.
I just put her on mute for a bit because I wanted to because of the way the recording goes, it will bring people up if there's noise in the background. But all I wanted to say is that, because I have a lot of clients who are at the stage where they're about to launch businesses and stuff. They really need social media help. I already, recommend Dana for doing the web development and have different designers and stuff. But that's great to know. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you can check out my personal website, rhondamassad.com, has more of that, and you'll see, you can learn more about me as a person. The blog is very much news. It's not about me.
Okay. And can you just say the different names of the URLs for us so we know them? Just so you've got the grandma blog and
www.rhondamassad.com. That's my personal website with my credentials and my CV, if you will. www.westislandblog.com is the newspaper. It's basically a newspaper. And www.montrealgrandma.com is my personal journey through grandmahood.
That's great. So those are the places they can best places to get in touch with you, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time and telling us about your journey. And as Anna said, there was a lot of tidbits along the way in our discussion that I know is going to be very helpful for people. And for every one person like you who are out there and living their passion and purpose and giving back to the community, there are thousands of people who want to do the same thing. And so by you sharing your story, it helps to inspire others to do that, because that's what our world needs more than anything right now, is for us to really step into our light.
But I think it has to be the real deal.
Yes.
You're not going to trick the universe into believing your passion is something that it really isn't. You can't make this up. It's got to come from inside. You can't, I want to do this. There are businesses that exist. I want to sell this cup because people are going to buy this cup. Yeah. That's in a business for sure. But when you're talking about a passion business, it really has to come from inside. And creators, people that create the way artists do, or writers, or, you know, whatever I know my cousin, all of us in my family are very creative. I have cousins that paint. I have cousins that do food art, you know, graphic design. So it has to come from in here. It's not coming from here.
Yes.
The push is coming from here, not your head.
Well, and it's interesting because, you know, it comes from the heart. And then when I asked you about, you know, what keeps you going, why did you do it? You said it's about the feeling you have in your heart as well. So it comes from there. It gets reinforced there. And that's where the intelligence is in our heart. But it's the fear and the doubt that's in the head that goes. And so it's about aligning that. So I thank you very much for joining us. And if you want to learn more, I will put all the links to Rhonda's, her websites and social media pages on this. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how to follow your own passion, learn about what it is, as Rhonda said, what is really in your heart, I have a process to help you kind of uncover that. And if eventually you want to create a business doing that or some sort of practice, I have that as well. And I'm starting just as a reminder, in April, we're going to be starting another program. And just if you want to just continue this process with us with the Awakening Village for free. Join us next Wednesday and we'll have some more just discussions and coaching. And next month, I just wanted to mention that for the Inspire show, it's going to be, I think it's April 19th, and we have Joshua Smith, and he is actually from the UK. He is an ex-American, moved to the United States. He's a behavioral specialist, and he specializes in neuroscience informed approaches for mindfulness and resilience. So he coaches executives and teams globally to lead more emotional resilience. And he's an amazing guy. I met many years ago at the Wisdom Conference in San Francisco. So Joshua is going to be joining us April 19th for the next Inspire show. So everyone, thanks again. Thanks so much, Rhonda, for joining us.
Could you explain to my readership where they go to get this link and the previous and future links for this programming?
Yeah, so this is for the Awakening Village. So it's the Awakening Village. So to get the link, I'll put it on here, but it's Designing Transformation. It's all over my website, but it's Designing Transformation / Awakening Village. And basically it's a free membership. All you have to do is put your name and information in there, and then it gives you access to ongoing to the Awakening Cafe, which is a weekly coaching, to the Inspire show live. They'll have access to this without being a member. So I'm going to be posting this. And then also to all of the resources and to the Facebook. I'll also put the link to the Facebook group as well, so people can have access to that. Okay. So I'll put all the links there, but it's essentially on my website, designtransformation.com.
Okay.
All right. And thank you everyone. Really appreciate it. It was awesome. Thank you very much, Rhonda.
I hope to see you all around town.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.